Hey Seth, thanks for coming in and talking with us today. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having us, and we appreciate Goodwill, Career Quest, and One Life so much for the partnership we have with you all.
Yeah. So you're the director of talent management, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, Director
Okay.
of Talent Management. Basically, what that means is I oversee anything as far as talent goes within the company. So our recruiting efforts, our recruiting team reports up to me, and finding available talent, and then also developing that talent too. I oversee our learning and development with Anderson Automotive Group, and anything again from finding talent to developing talent, and excited to get to help people out in their journey and their career.
Oh, that's awesome. How long you been doing that? How long you been in that role?
Yeah, so this particular role I've done a few months, but talent management, I've been in that role for a little over a year now. And before that, actually, my journey with the company, it's kind of interesting. I started out in our most entry level position. I started out as a service greeter at our Toyota store in Asheville. And what's interesting about that, our One Life program, we actually place some students into that role within Anderson Automotive Group. But from there, I grew in the service department and became a service advisor, so helping people with exactly what their car needs in the service department when they come in for a visit. And then during that time, I started studying at Western Carolina for a master's in HR program. And during that time, our head of HR found out about me studying that program and came to visit me, and we talked, and me and him were both big fly fishermen, and we hit it off through talking about fishing. I think maybe even more than HR, but we hit it off, and then a year later, he offered me a position within the Human Resources Department as a recruiter, and then I've grown from there within HR. So it's been a great journey and
Yeah.
a lot of growth with Anderson.
That is cool that they're willing to kind of grow you and in your career within the organization. You don't have to go anywhere else. You've just kind of been able to climb that ladder, as they say. Let me go back real quick though to your first entry point into the company. Tell me a little bit more about that role, because that might be a role that one of the Career Quest students here might be interested in one day.
Yeah, it's a great role, especially getting into the industry and the business. Basically, it's a customer service role, and it's highly critical for the dealerships because you're the first point of contact and the first face for our dealerships. And so for somebody to have a great experience when they come in is huge for us. We're very big on customer satisfaction, and that role is critical for that. So they really have a big part in the success of the dealership through customer service. So not only is it an entry-level role, it's also a critical role. But yeah, we can take somebody in with no experience at all, no prior experience, and they can be in that role, and we can train them from there and go on to do great things.
Wow, that's awesome. So what I thought we'd do is we start off with, some general dealership operations. Can you give me an overview of how the dealership is structured and how different departments kind of work together?
Yeah. So our dealerships and most dealerships are kind of structured the same way. You've got three main departments. So you have sales, of course. Most people know about sales, both new and used sales. And then you also have service, which most people know about service. And, you bring your car in for service. It needs service or work done on it, and that's where you go. And then also a department that not everybody knows about, but is very critical within our dealerships is the parts department. Within parts, we do a lot of different things there. That department supplies parts to vehicles coming in for service, parts for new and used vehicles, accessories, like if a customer wants an accessory on a vehicle, they help supply that. And then on top of that, our parts department supplies other local shops, whether it be collision shops or repair shops, with important parts that they need for vehicles they're repairing. So we get to help the community out through our parts department as well. But another thing I'll mention with us and a lot of groups, but specifically with us, we place a big emphasis on our support team. We also have a very big support team at headquarters, including the HR department, like my department. And then also accounting. We have over 50 people in accounting, and they help, manage the funds and the finances of the dealerships. And then also we have an IT and marketing departments. So it's more than a lot of times what you just see at the dealership. There's a lot of opportunities there, and I'm thankful for those because I went into one of those support roles. But yeah, not everybody sees that side of the business.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of times when we think of different, places of business, we really just think of a few things when there's a whole infrastructure of jobs that are going on. For me, if I think dealership, I think, sales and repair. And that's probably, even though I kind of know that there's folks like you and there's accountants and all that kind of stuff, but it's really important to share that aspect that, just because you're going into HR or you're going into accounting or something, that can apply to so many different types of jobs. And as you mentioned, also within an auto dealership. So, what are some of the main revenue streams for a dealership? You talked about a lot of the different departments, but I'd kind of like to go into that.
Yeah, so with our revenue, of course, there's the sales department, and that is housed under what we call variable operations. So, months can be variable when it comes to sales, of course, like any business. And then also, I mentioned our service and parts department. There's housed under an umbrella called fixed operations. So we can, pretty much count on what the revenue is going to be within those departments. So that's the main difference in revenue between those departments. Fixed is more expected. Variable can be changed from month to month with the sales department.
Yeah, that's interesting. Learning a little bit about those details is cool because I would never have known that you guys kind of break it up that way. But that's really nice. How have some of the changes in the business? We're seeing a lot more electric cars out on the road. And then so just tell me a little bit about how the business has changed maybe in the last decade or something.
Yeah, definitely. To your last point there, electric vehicles, we have definitely seen those come into play the last few years, and most brands have an electric vehicle. Subaru, we were talking earlier, has an electric vehicle within their fleet. And one thing that has done too, we also need people to work on those vehicles that are technically skilled. So people that are good with electronics and technology, it's critical. And one thing with that too, with technology, most vehicles, even if they're not electric, they're running off of computer systems, electronic systems. So even if it's not an electric vehicle, we still need those technology-minded folks to work on vehicles. But yeah, that's been a big change in the last few years. But definitely there's a big, in our fleets, still full gas vehicles and then also hybrid vehicles. So there's a big need for, the hybrid that's kind of in between electric and gas vehicles. So yeah, those are just some of the changes in the last few years as far as vehicle types go.
Yeah. So if you're interested in, getting in there and getting greasy and getting dirty, that's definitely not going away. There's still always going to be diesel mechanics needed out there and those kind of mechanics. But I'd imagine if you're thinking of going into that field, you're going to have to expand your knowledge quite a bit and start learning about some of that other technology that you just mentioned. So plenty of job security in the motor pool, right? Always having to keep learning new things. How about what distinguishes your dealership with some of the other competitors in the region?
That's a great question to ask, and I'll speak, just from personal experience. Anderson Automotive Group is a family-owned company, of course, and they've started in 1955 and started with Fred Anderson's father. You see Fred's name on most of the dealerships now, but he started in 1955. And in 1970, Fred got into the business. He had his first General Motors dealership actually in Canton, North Carolina, so local to here. But since that time, of course, the company's grown and expanded from there. We have 16 dealerships total throughout North and South Carolina, but getting ready to have a 17th dealership in Florida. So we're excited about that. Toyota's awarded us a Open Point store down there, so a brand new Toyota store. But yeah, lots of growth since then. But what separates us again is going back to that family culture. It's all throughout the organization. Most folks get to meet the owners at some point. You get to meet Fred Anderson, Michael, and so I think it's great to have that connection within the company, and it's just exciting to see how they take care of their employees too. One of the parts of their vision statement is a culture of caring, and they truly embody that. I've never seen a company take care of people more than the Anderson Automotive Group does. Customers, vendors, employees, doesn't matter who you are, they are so people focused and people minded. Just taking care of folks is just huge. And we've seen it over and over again throughout COVID. We went through Helene recently here in Western North Carolina, and just the things they've done for employees and everybody else it's been amazing.
Well, Seth, I'd love to hear that. Family run. I mean, you're a testament to it's a company that grows from within, and promotes people. And it seems to be, with that new dealership down in Florida, it sounds like, it's a company that it's been around for a while and continuing to grow. So a great place to think of when you're thinking, career.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for your time.